Okay. Well, good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. The subject matter today is terror, in the sense that, a resurgence of it, especially in the northeast. And our guest to talk about that with us, for we had thought that we were actually making strides against the scourge, but we find out that that isn't indeed the case. There would appear to have been a reawakening of the terror that is being unleashed. We don't know by who, but the usual suspect is Boko Haram and its renewed killings campaign in the northeast. Dr. John Ngamsa, he's a university don. He's special advisor to the governor of Adamawa State on communication and strategy, as well as being a public affairs commentator and lecturer. A fine morning to you, Dr. Ngamsa.
Good morning, Yuri. How are you?
Indeed. Thank you very much for making the time for us. When it hit the news that this was the situation that we were facing, for those who are not close to the, shall we say, to the theater of operations, since we have security people there, people would have felt it was a setback because they might have thought that we were actually making gains in the war against terror. But now it seems that not so. Now, you first of all, you please give us perspective to the renewed killings that are reportedly going on in the northeast, especially in the Adamawa area. What exactly? We hear that in the nature of revenge killings for citizens speaking to the authorities about their activities. Put us in context, sir.
Well, I think maybe there's a little misinformation there, or direction to say. More precisely, when you talk about security in the Northeast, definitely you don't exempt Adamawa for one, because for some time it's been an issue of the fact that we are bordering Borno State directly, and then Yobe State is also bordering Borno on the other flank. And basically, whatever obtains anywhere happens around, and that you find that Adamawa remains a haven, for some of these riffraffs. And as they come close, some villages are touched along the line, and certain things also get to impact us directly or indirectly. But I think the issue is more about what is happening repeatedly, in Yobe State and Borno State, where we've received repeated attacks, on both military personnel, villages being killed in good number, and international media equally reporting. On the media, you find maybe government saying 38 people killed, and on the other side, it's about the reality of what the people say. They talk about 180 and thereabout. So all these figures are outrageous. And I know too that we've been close enough, and I've had information even from the military establishment telling us what it's been like, on their own formations and on their own operational units. So to my mind, we are to make an analysis covering basically 3 states of the Federation, Yobe, Borno, and Adamawa State on the northern flank there, where it borders Borno, and we have repeated cases. Some cases reported, others not reported. Hello.
The Sambisa forest, the infamous Sambisa forest. I thought there were orders at one time to comb and clear the Sambisa forest, but apparently it's that has been an easier said than done task, because at the end of the day, it is thought that they make a quick recourse for there. And it is thought that if they were to be pursued into the forest, that's like a suicidal operation, for they have a better knowledge of the topography. What's the situation in that regard?
Well, I'm not in the military establishment more precisely. I'm an ordinary citizen of Nigeria and an onlooker, a very curious one for that matter. And I'm also in position to say exactly, based on the impact that affect members of my own family, we the civilians, we the bloody civilians. And I think to put it appropriately, one tells you, if you look at the geography of Northeast, the forest stretches and ends somewhere, closer to Adamawa State, if not into it, dovetailed into Adamawa State stretches of Gumbi and Hong local government. And by so doing, the place is mountainous, covering, some local governments in Borno, the Damboa, the Biu axis, where there is a military establishment. The valley there offers a lot of impediments, at least movements. Those in the military can tell you better and make better assessment as to the kind of difficulties they have along the line. But that is not to say that this thing is ongoing for quite a number of years, 10 years, even 5 years is good enough for any military force anywhere, no matter how ragtag or irresponsible they are, to master their terrain and to tell you exactly what it is. Yes, it happens, but we know that the basic philosophy of warfare that Nigerian army is trained for, mountain and jungle, warfare is prominent on their own battlecraft, and they know it very well. So within the period, one cannot say that they failed, but one can equally say that they've not been able, to meet up their general expectation as to what to do to block them. Because most of the operations they've been engaged in those areas, as difficult as the terrain have been reactionary, not preemptive, have been ongoing. And sometimes deliberately, these insurgents have direct attack on them and get them in their own camps, super camps or whatever it is that they've been able to place in place. But the understanding is when a military formation is attacked, it shows that the civilian villages, the population and the settlements are highly vulnerable and therefore receive it. So the earlier they do it, the better for us, because if they don't, these characters have succeeded in establishing kingdoms and a country of their own, collecting taxes, harassing citizens, and doing all manner of things that you can think about. Now we're spanning a situation of over 10 years, of attack on our own ordinary citizens. You dare not ply the continental route or the national routes, or even the rural ones that connect villages and towns around the axis. So you have to keep praying and sometimes have to think of how you are going to do your own protection or to protect yourself. So this time around, if soldiers are killed, what else will the ordinary citizens do? Perhaps they have to rush to their own tents, and maybe the shout will have to be, "Oh, Israel, rush to your own camps." And I think that's just the bad situation and what we are receiving, on this note. So comfortably or more seriously, whether we like it or not, we have to accept the fact that these guys are holding territories in Nigeria. Looking at the character of what they've done, precisely in Yobe State, attacking even local government headquarters, attacking the presidential lodge, moving away with vehicles, that tells you that they are free. And they came to Yobe in high visibility of what is described to be riding nothing less than 50 motorcycles. And if you can have that kind of visibility at any moment, simple Google search, simple picture from the satellite, simple reports from the natives can give you a collaborative report to understand the simple fact that something is highly relaxed. And either the nation is not taking that serious, or we as a nation or country, whatever it is we call ourselves, are not serious about stopping this issue. I'm meant to understand that anywhere there is a government stamping site, by that I mean local government secretariat, by that I mean lord, governor's lord or presidential lord in any local government. Anything that touches it, touches Asoro. So it's a serious thing, and if only our security services can equally come, acknowledge, and tell you that yes, this has taken place, and nothing is done, at least to bring these characters to book, I think we've missed the mark. Like we once discussed with you told me that these guys live in rings. If they are pursued from one place, they move to the next. It is almost becoming predictable that even outsiders, if you take a very good analysis of media reports, you'll accept with me that these characters can be predicted. Because if they attack one village, they have a direction they go to. And definitely you are going to predict and even know the next village that these characters are going to attack. So if that is it, what for God's sake is happening to our own intelligence gathering? What are they talking about? Maybe when they talk about synergy between the DSS, the army, and all the agencies involved, the police,